I'm Dale Smith for Looney Politics, and summer committee season could soon be upon us. Now, for those of you unfamiliar, what happens in the summer is that generally, when Parliament isn't sitting, committees don't sit either, but emergency meetings can be held so long as two of the parties consent to having that meeting, and then they bring everyone there. They have an organizational meeting to vote on whether they will actually hold hearings, and then that decides whether they actually go ahead with them or not. Generally, this is relied on one of the opposition parties or one of either the Bloc or the NDP to join in on these kinds of requests. Often the NDP were the ones who were happy to go along with it because they wanted that exposure. However, the NDP no longer has official party status, and the Bloc is now the one who plays kingmaker on all of the committees. Now, this being said, the Liberals may actually want some of these proposed committee meetings to go ahead. There's three that are currently being proposed. First one is the Transport Committee, where they want to look at the circumstances surrounding BC Ferries ordering ships from China. Never mind that no Canadian firms actually bid on these new ships. But because BC Ferries is a provincially regulated organization, what the Conservatives at least are trying to do is have this relate to the Canadian Infrastructure Bank, who has provided financing for some of the operations of this ship purchase, and then have the ministers who the Infrastructure Bank reports to somehow answer for it, even though the bank operates at arm's length. This is likely going to be something that is really all about trying to make some political hay. They did it in question period just before the House rose for the summer, and every time Chrystia Freeland told them that this is a provincial jurisdiction issue, the Conservatives nevertheless tried to make it a federal one. We also have the potential for the Trade Committee to come back and hold some hearings on. They say they want to hear from stakeholders who are being affected by the Trump tariffs. Again, this will likely just be an airing of grievances and some wringing of hands that there's only so much they can do. However, again, this is all about the performance for the cameras. Third one, the Conservatives want the Heritage Committee to come back to talk about the Travis Downraj/CBC issue with his forced resignation and so on. Again, but that is strictly for partisan hay. And I don't see either the Liberals or the Bloc necessarily wanting to join in on that particular issue. But I do think the Liberals are likely to join in on both the Transport and the Trade Committee meetings, because it also gives them a chance to express their dismay at everything that's going on. With the ships being bought by BC Ferries, they can express their dismay about how it's going to a Chinese firm and it's not going to result in Canadian jobs, even though no Canadian firms bid on this contract. Again, with the Trade Committee, they can also wring their hands about how awful the situation is, but also possibly use the time to praise Mark Carney and all of the work he's doing to try and secure that trade deal, which is never actually going to happen, but they're going to do it anyway. So I have a feeling that's what's going to happen. The thing to remember, of course, is that this is all just to get clips for social media. This has been happening for a couple of years now, particularly on committees. These are now just clip factories. They are not doing any useful work. This is only about getting people on camera that they can then use for their social media, which is poisoning Parliament. However, that is the state of things, and I can expect that we'll see a bunch of that when these meetings go ahead in the summer. For Looney Politics, I'm Dale Smith.